Assalamu alaikum everyone and welcome back. In this video I'm going to show you how to create an exam, a final exam for your students. Again, I'm going to select one of the live lectures or sections that I have. Okay, click on that. I'm going to go into content where I build usually the exams and tests and quizzes. So I'm going to go into the test, assessments, test. Well, I'm going to create new. Those are all tests that I created before, but I'm going to create new. And I'm going to say the name of the test is final exam. Okay. There's an important thing to do before you move on, which writing the description for students and writing the instructions for your final exam. It is important to fill these two text boxes. So you fill the description, you describe your exam. Maybe you can say the exam contains 30 questions and each questions needs maybe 1 minute or half a minute or something like that. And then you put the instructions. You have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. This is the instructions for students. So those are two text boxes that you need to fill. So please fill them. But for the sake of time, I'm gonna submit without filling them now. Okay. Now I'm not gonna create a question because I already have pool of questions before. But I'm gonna create a question set. What I'm gonna do here is I created a pool of questions that I have for this live video. I have 44 questions already created from chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. Then out of the 44 questions that I have, because this is the whole pool that I have right now, I'm going to select maybe 32, 33, whatever, the number of questions that I'm going to present to the students later on. Also, I'm going to set a grade for each student, for each question, I mean. So I'm going to create a question set. Okay. Once I do this, I have the pool that they created before. I have maybe a pool for chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, 4, and 8 so far. So I'm going to select some of the questions from chapter 1. So I've clicked on chapter 1, the questions appear. I have only 4 questions in chapter 1. I can add more, of course, but this is just a prototype. But what I do here, if you remember, we put a level of difficulty for each question. So it was easy, intermediate, or difficult. So I'm gonna, for my exam, for example, I wanna put some easy question from chapter 1, some easy question from chapter 2, some easy question from chapter 4, some intermediate, some difficult questions. What I do, for example, I click here in chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 1, and easy questions. So in front of me, I have 2 easy questions. I added to my exam. Here's 2. I do the same for every chapter. For example, I'll go chapter 8. Okay, let me remove chapter 1 and chapter 8, and I have this one. These how many questions? 7 questions here. Again, I can select some easy questions or difficult questions, whatever, based on the category I did before. I'll select these 2. Let me see if I have intermediate questions for chapter. Yes, I have 1 intermediate question. Let me see if I have a difficult question. Okay, here, loading. Yeah, I have 2 difficult questions. Let me put them in, and so on. So you get the idea. You select whatever chapter you want. You select the level of difficulty, the questions with different level of difficulty you put in the exam, and so on. But for the sake of this tutorial, I'm gonna select all of the questions that I have in the pool. And I'll try to take out of these questions, all of the questions in the pool, take some questions to present to the students. For example, so I'll go to pools, all different types of difficulty and so on. Let me show all here. So I have 44 questions, as you can see. Then I'm gonna select them all. I put them in the set. But let Let me remove some of the question because I need to do something else, like the short answer questions. Okay, here's the short answer questions. Short answer question, you can see it here. I remove them from the pool itself, from the set, because I need to put some different marks for these questions. So the short answer. Okay. Okay. Here's the short answer. It's not important, but here, those are the questions that I put. 36 questions. I'll select 36 questions. I'll select some questions out of the 36 questions. So I'll submit it here. Okay. Okay, this is the set that I built. So I built a set with this number of questions. Okay, now I need to build an exam, maybe 30 questions out of true, false, multiple choice questions. I removed only the short answer questions for a reason. I'll let you know right now, just in a bit. So I selected only 30 questions. Okay, I'll say I'm gonna present to the student 30 questions out of these 36 questions. Okay, but I need to do one more thing, which is change the grade for each question. So I'll say it's a 0.5. Let's say that. Submit. Now I have the total point of the exam is 15 points. Now I'm gonna create another set because contains all of the short answer questions, because this takes time. True, false, and multiple choice and stuff like that, the student might answer them quickly, but for short answer they might need to think. So what I'm gonna do, I create another set out of these short answer questions. Let me present all the pool in front of me and say, let me select the short answer question. I'll leave this one, it's empty. And here's short answer, let me show all, so I can get all of the short answer questions. Here, started from here, this is 1, 2, short answer question here, short answer question here. What I'm doing, because I will put different grade for these questions. So that's why I created them in a separate set. Okay, this is short answer question, and that's all. So it's almost 7 questions. So I'm gonna submit. Okay. How many out of these questions you need to present to the student? Okay, maybe I'll select 5 out of 7 because I need 5 marks for 20. So I'm gonna say, okay, I have only 1 point for each question. Oh, here, 1 point for each question. And I'm gonna tell them that I need 5 questions, for example, and submit. So what happened here is that I selected, I'm presenting 35 questions to the student in the exam, 30 of them multiple choice and other types of questions, and 5 of them are short answer questions. You get the point? So you can build whatever set you want, and you can choose out of these sets how many questions you present to the students. So the student will have 30 questions from this set and 5 questions from this set. And this set has points per question, 1 point per question, and this set has 0.5 point per question. Okay, now I build my exam and I'm going to back here. Okay, well, it's my final exam here. I'm going to say submit. This is the selected one. Okay, now we come to very important tricks, which is the availability, the configuration of the exam. Make it available, not now, because I'm not presenting it to the student now. I'll make sure this is available to the student when time comes. An announcement, of course, not now. Multiple attempts, no. I cannot choose multiple attempts. This is the final exam. So don't allow students to take the exam multiple times. Forced completion, no. I cannot do a forced completion. What I mean by forced completion, that the student had to do it in one session. So what happened if the internet connection, the student get disconnected? So he can go back and continue and take it over from where he left. I mean, forced completion, if you do a forced completion, it will not allow the student, once he disconnected, he is out, he kicked out of the exam. So leave it open, don't check it. Set a timer, of course. I need a timer for my exam, maybe. I'll set a timer here, and maybe I'll say it's 45 minutes. Well, auto submit, yes, it is on. Auto submit, that means once the student finishes the 45 minutes, he cannot go beyond the 45 minutes. If you leave it off, that means the student can go beyond the 45 minutes. Still the exam open for him. Now, those are another two options. You display after this time, that means I'm going to display my exam in the 5th of April 2020 at 9:37 p.m. So make sure to put here the exact time of the slot in the schedule. And display until, that means how long it will stay in front of the students. After that, will disappear. So make sure to put the time, the appropriate time here. Don't put a password, it makes things complicated. Also, you have to include this test in the grade center score. I'll show you why after all. And here is the important thing. Uncheck this one because you don't want a student to see the answers during the exam. Also, don't present the whole number of questions in front of the students at once. What you do, present one at a time. And once the student submit the answer for the question, he cannot go back. This is prohibit backtracking. And certainly, I need to randomize the questions for students. I need to randomize the questions for students. Let me submit based on this configuration and see how it works. Well, I get the content. Here is the final exam that I created. And it is still hidden for a second. If you want to make it available, you may click here and make it available. But let me look at the exam before I present it to the students. So you may have a look. Here's the final exam. I click on that. And here what it looks like to the student. The time allowed 45 minutes. The test will save the submit automatically when the time expires. The test can be saved resumed at any point of time has expired. The timer will continue run if you leave the test. I click on the begin. Of course, if you have some instructions or something like that will appear here. Here how the questions will appear in front of the student. Change the answer. You cannot change the answer. Here is the question one. I'll say, oh, I don't know, I didn't read it, but I'll say true. Okay, let's go. And here's the points, of course. Here's one of 35 questions that I created for the students. And it's only 0.5, and it saves automatically after some time. And then I go next. Here's another question. Okay, it's a true, false. No problem, true. I will fail in the exam after all. Well, it's a 3, false, maybe. Here we go. Oh, again, true, false questions. Okay. Well, multiple choice question. Okay, one of the key features of protocol is size of each layer, timing, time of creation, fast communication or long. Well, this is a protocol, maybe the size, something like that. This is how it looks like for a student when it takes the exam. So you may try it by yourself. This is very important to know exactly what is presented in front of the students. You might have something. This is another question, which is fill in the blank. So I can write, student can write whatever in the blank, right? So you got the idea. So this is how you practice the exam beforehand, before actually you present it to the student. So that's it for now. One more thing I will show you later on, which is the full grading center. Full grading center, I'll talk about it in another video. Thank you. I'll see you in another video.